Yo, yo, yo. This is Renan with Piece of Pie Learning. And this is the Slice first podcast episode. And we got our boy Mauricio here. He did the course with us March 2021. And now currently going to UChigaco.
Go Maroons.
The Maroons, the Phoenix. How about you tell the peeps a little bit about yourself?
I'm going to Chicago now, like Renan said. I go to Mass Academy, the maritime school, and basically last year, like I was struggling hardcore. I had tried like a bunch of tutors for my SAT, and my friend hit me up and they were like, yo, you need to try Renan. I got on like the Zoom meeting with Renan, had to see what it was all about. As soon as I got on the Zoom meeting, I knew there was definitely something special about him. But yeah, as soon as I got on the Zoom meeting, I knew I had to join. I gave it a shot and it ended up going really well. My final math score was a 780.
But hold up. It wasn't just like that, right? Like it wasn't, you did the course, whatever, your shit just popped, right? So you came in.
It wasn't like that.
Let's rewind a little bit. So you came in and it was, so that course started in January. It was our popular virtual group course that was for, I think at that point it was 9 weeks. You ran that, and did you have an SAT before that?
No, I hadn't. Like I was supposed to, but I ended up canceling it because I felt like I wasn't ready.
So you came in without one, but you had taken like several practice tests.
Yeah.
Like I remember you had thrown some scores around. You were like, oh, you were hitting, like you were doing fine, like you were doing relatively well. Like you were.
I don't know about all that. I was scoring like I think my highest score at the time was like an 1170.
What about your math?
It was like I think my highest math was like a 600.
I mean, that's a solid math score. Like
yeah.
You feel me? Like I mean, not UChigaco, not 780-esque, you know what I'm saying? But you came in with a 600. We worked through the course, and then do you remember the first score you got after the 10-week course?
Yeah, it was a 1370 in total, and it was a 740 because I got the same reading score every time.
I think the most important thing for like the audience, what I was telling you earlier, is like, all right, you made that happen. You got the 740, eventually you got the 780, and now you're in UChigaco. But I think the important thing is like, how did you make that happen? Because I know we played a part in that. Obviously, like we did a little bit. Like, I gave you the worksheets, whatever. But ultimately, you did the work. And a lot of the times, I have parents and students, they see all these score improvements on our website. Some of them are kind of crazy, yours included.
I think I went up like 240 points in math. Like in math, I went up 200 something points. And in total, I mean, I went from an 1170 to a 1460.
So, you put numbers up like that on the website, and a lot of people look at that and they're like, holy crap, like I need to do this. But ultimately, I like to slow them down. I'm like, listen, the student needs to put in the work.
Yeah. And I mean, I did, like at the time, it was like, it's not that I was like desperate, but I was like frustrated like with myself because it's like in high school, like I took like all these hard classes. I was like in the most advanced math that I could be. Like I knew I could do it. And I knew like, especially with like you teaching me, because I mean your whole course, like you teach everything that's going to be on the SAT, like for math. And I was just being frustrated. I was just like frustrated with myself. So then I knew like I had to really like put in the work. And it was like I would just think to myself like all the time to like keep me motivated. Like this is like the last time I'm gonna have to do this. Unless you go into medical school and with the MCAT and all that. But I was just like, this is like the last time I'm gonna have to do this. Like this is like the one time in your life where you really like school is probably hard at the moment and you have to study for your SAT, but you just have to do it because then you'll get over it. And it was like the classes that I took, all my other statistics, like I really needed the SAT score to match to, like just like
all the other stuff you had.
The point where I was like confident that I would get into a good school. So then that was also part of the motivation. But I mean, I did everything you told me to. I would do the worksheets all the time.
Like you did the work, right?
Yeah.
Like ultimately you did, like I'll tell everybody, homie was an excellent student. Everything that I assigned, he did. When he was in class, he participated. And that's all that I can ask from the students. But more importantly, what I was hearing from you, bro, which I think I don't know how to help kids with, is like, how did you manage the time? Because a lot of students come in like you're at mass, you're taking a bunch of APs, you're super overwhelmed with work already, you're doing a sport, I don't know what, like y'all are crazy nowadays. Back in the day when I was in school, like, I don't know, like class was easier. How'd you do that, bro?
Like whenever I had free time in school, because I was fortunate enough to just like have like my iPad where I just did everything on my iPad. Like, I had it in school. If I had some free time, I would do it there. I was more focused on the SAT than anything else, you know? And I would just get home and it was like I just had made it to myself, like, my mom would tell me I would get stressed because it's not like I did it like super easily. I'd get stressed and my mom would always tell me like there's just gonna be some days where you go to sleep late and there's gonna be some days where you go to sleep early. And like sometimes you just have to put in the work.
Did you have a routine?
I think I would get home and I would do it like I would rest. My school ends at 3. I would get home and I would rest until like 4, like
Okay.
just lay around.
Mental
Then I
break.
would do your homework because I was looking through my alarms and I had an alarm that was like do your Renan packet at 4, and then at 4:15 I had another one to do my Renan packet.
Piece of pie packet.
Yeah, piece of
It's
pie
not a
packet.
Renan packet anymore, bro. We
Yeah,
got a squad now.
yeah. But I don't know. I would just like it's really that you need like the motivation to do it. Like you have to want it. It's like you can teach as much, like you teach everything that's going to be on the SAT, but it's really like the person learning it, like it's their choice to go ahead and like apply it and apply themselves to do everything. Because
How many APs were you taking? 2?
6.
6?
Yeah, and it's not like it was easy. Like it was hard to like do everything, but it's just like you have to be motivated. It's like,
You gotta want it.
yeah, you gotta want it, and it's also like, why wouldn't you want it? Like, first of all, they're already paying for your course. That's somewhat motivation because if not, like you
Your
wouldn't.
parents?
Yeah, and then the other motivation is just like I'll tell you right now, I know people who are like literally telling me like, oh, like I wish I would have put in as much work as you, or I wish I would have put in more work for my SAT right now because a bunch of kids at mass, like although like all these schools are going like test optional and everything, it's like a bunch of kids at mass have applied, like they've applied to schools without tests, and like the counselor and everyone around them has seen that if you apply with the test, you have a better chance of getting in. Like it's the kids who apply with the test that get in. I know a bunch of kids that just scored like in like the 1200s and they were like, whatever, I'm not gonna send my scores. And they regret it so much. And they like tell me that they just wish they would have put in like another hour of their day, like just to
Bro,
work on
sometimes
their.
I'm like, no, sometimes literally what I think. So it's because like, okay, so I'll get like 2 kinds of students sometimes where it's like, well, there's 3 kinds of students, well, there's a million kinds of students. But the 2 that are in my brain right now are there's that one kid who's like so overwhelmed that they can't do work because they're taking so many APs and they're so focused on getting straight A's that they can't do the SAT work, and then ultimately their SAT suffers.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other kid who doesn't have that many crazy classes, or they do, whatever. But the interesting one to me is the one who doesn't have a lot of APs and they can put in the work and they end up killing it. I'm like, to an extent, that kid might be at an advantage because I get it. Your grades probably matter. Like you need to have, like, depending on what school you're applying to, really solid grades. But I still think, like you're saying it right now, but I always knew that the SAT still matter.
It's like if you're applying to a school and you're not sending a test, and someone who has basically the same stats as you is applying and sending
With
a
the
test.
test?
Yeah.
Exactly, bro. That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, you and your twin,
Mm-hmm.
but the twin has a test. Who's gonna get in?
Like I just understood that like there was a sacrifice that like I had to make, and it was like my time. And the thing was, it was like I would still hang out with my friends on weekends, like because I mean Sunday, like I took your class, like I was in your Sunday groups.
Is that the group? Is that the
I
one to
wouldn't
do?
sacrifice I wouldn't sacrifice my like Fridays or my Saturdays. Like maybe I would do your packet Saturday morning, but during the week, like I just understood like I was gonna have to go to sleep late. I was gonna have to make a sacrifice, and it was like all gonna be worth it because it is. Like with your material and everything, there's no way that someone isn't gonna improve if they make that sacrifice and put in the time. Because at the end of the day, like I did your March course and I did well. Like I raised like 200 points, 220 points in my math. And then like remember I did your self-study course.
You wanted more.
Yeah, I did your self-study course, and still like I think my math went down, or it
No, no, no.
stayed.
Let me tell you how it went, bro. You took March test,
uh
March 12th, you got your 740. And then you took, there was another test at your school. It was
the
like
school
March
did
26th.
SAT.
But it was
Yeah,
right after that. You hadn't really like studied anymore for that. And it's what I tell kids all the time that you never know, these tests are different. So you might have, it's very normal for your score to fluctuate. So that was a normal fluctuation up and down like 30, 40 points. That's cool. But it was after that, bro. When did you
uh
take the next one?
my first one was a 1370. My next one was a 1400,
Your reading
and
went up.
then I went down to a 1360.
Oh, wow.
And then I took, like, I did the school day SAT and I didn't study that much. And then I went down to a 1360, and I realized, like, even though I had your self prep course, I wasn't doing it enough. So then I signed up for the June one, and it was like, that was just like when I went like hardcore, like, I remember I did, like, I focused it in like 2 week periods, or like 1 week and a half periods. I would just do the worksheets, and I would do them over again and over again. And then what really, like, what killed it for me, you know this, and I tell everyone to do this, the week before, I mean, your SATs on the Saturday, the whole week you do a practice test every day. And it was like, for me, like, Renan will tell you, like, do a practice test every day. And at the beginning I was like, no way, like, no way, like,
So
but
much.
yeah, once I got like that motivation, like, once I just pushed myself and I was like, okay, like, it's like I'm already here, like, I've already put in this much work, I might as well just like finish it off. Like, I wouldn't always do like a practice test timed. I think what it was for me, like, I would sit in like my first period and it was already like the end of the year, so we weren't doing anything. And I would do like the non-calc, like, really quick, but I would just like do it. If I didn't finish it, like, I would do it in my next class, like, little by little. But like, what I think, it's that it just becomes like muscle memory. Like, like, you see that type of question on the SAT, and you know it like exactly. It was just like filling that whole week with the SAT in your head and like doing it constantly. Like, a bunch of people tell you, like, don't do it on the Friday, like, don't do anything on the Friday before, like, you're gonna burn out. You begin to like just become like so used to it.
I can't tell you. Everyone's like, don't study the night before. And look, some people shouldn't. If you're high, like if you have trouble sleeping and you have not prepared, and then you want to cram on a Friday, nah, stop. What you doing?
Yeah.
But if you've been preparing, I have had. Maybe it doesn't have to be that Friday. I'm saying the week. It's what you're saying, the week of, because you want to be like literally hallucinating the SAT. Like, I've had dreams where I'm factoring, guys. That's not cool, but it's cool for that week. You want to be hallucinating this test to the point when you get there, you've just seen it all. And like, I'll tell you right now, I can finish a non-cow in 6 minutes.
Yeah, when I was doing like that week, when I was doing them by like the Friday, I did it in like, I think, like 15 minutes, 12 minutes. And it was just like, because I knew I had gotten so used to just like what the test is.
You get used to the headspace, but that you preface that with learning the material. So and this is in my mind, when somebody asks me what is the ideal approach, and like most people don't give me enough time for this. I wish I had more time. My ideal approach to a prep is first content, right? You want to learn all the content on there.
Yeah.
But once you're done with the content, then you have to learn how to approach the mixed, the variability of the exam and the headspace, which is what you did. You learned all the content in the course. You went up from that. Obviously, you did practice exams during the course. But once you were done with that and you were familiar with all the content, then what you did at the end that really killed it is you familiarize yourself with the headspace and the variability. So like, you knew when to do what. You would look at a problem. It's what I feel when I look at a problem. As soon as I see it, I know what to do.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the time, like, I have to be honest, like, I remember, because I would stay after class with you, like, a lot, because
Yeah.
there was just some questions, like, okay, I couldn't wrap my like head around it, but it was like, I just told myself, like, you don't have to get it, you just have to know how to do it, because I got
Sometimes
them.
it's like that.
Yeah, like, it's not like asking questions like what if all the time. It was just like I knew the majority of it, and I knew if this one question came up, I just had to memorize the steps.
But that's because people don't realize that certain things you're never gonna like. There's still things that I look at now where I'm like, oh wow, I thought I got it. But like after the 10th time I've seen it, I think I get it more now.
Yeah.
And so there's just certain things on this test. It's like, it isn't like just memorize it. Take the time to memorize it. And eventually you might get it to another level where it just sticks forever. And but like at the end of the day, it's like, what are we trying to do here? You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to do well on this test.
Yeah.
And in life, that's going to happen often where you may not fully understand something at first, but before you can understand it, you have to just learn the process.
But I mean, to be honest, just like the most important part is the practice. It's like, yeah, you can pay attention in class, like you can do everything, but if you're not doing like those practice tests that you tell the kids to do during the week, if you're not doing like that homework, if you're not like, I'm telling you, if you're not doing, unless you're scoring like 800s already, if you're not doing that test every day before the SAT, at least every day except for Friday, you won't see how much like you can actually do and how like the score you can actually get. Because it was like, I promise, like if that time that I got the 1400, if I would have just done that test every single day, once I actually did the test every single day, I was like, how did I not do this before? Like you just see how much it actually helps. And it's like you're like, this is crazy. Like it takes up time, but it's just like it's so worth it. Like
So
the end.
the final, like the wrap up for the people, right? From what I've gathered here, learn the material, step one.
Yeah.
Take our course, step one. I got to put the plug. Learn the material, be engaged in class. Once you learn the material, take the damn practice test. And ultimately, you have to want it. It has to be a hunger. Because I know a lot of people mentioned the test optional thing was very, I don't know, I think that was like really, I didn't know about that. And the fact that you were telling me this from your experience right now was very eye-opening to me. People realize that it still matters, you know, and maybe that'll help them be a little bit hungrier so that they can do what you did and maybe get into UChigaco. I don't know.
100% agree. And most important of them all, you have to do like, if you want the best score that you can possibly get, you have to do the test every day before
The week before?
the week before. It just,
That's the takeaway today.
I studied like the first time I did your course, I studied the same way. The second time I studied the same way. Like I was just doing the practice problems. Yeah, I did a couple practice tests. That time that I got the 780, that was the only thing I had changed. And it was the only thing that like
That's every
I
day.
I actually saw, like I started to realize like by my third test, by my third day, it was just incredible like how easy I had done it. And I got to a point where on the non-calc, I was able to finish it and go back and check it.
And
And I
check it.
remember I got a perfect score on like the non-calc, and the first time I did so was because I told you that I did it so fast that I went back and I checked it, and that was how I got the perfect
Did you
score.
catch mistakes?
Yeah, I did.
And that's what I see. I love it. I'm glad you're saying it because I told all the students when they get to that point, I'm like, listen, when they come out of the test and they tell me like, oh, I think I like maybe 2 or 3 I wasn't sure of. I'm like, all right, you got 7 wrong. When you come out of the test and then you tell me that you caught 3 mistakes, then I'm like, all right, you might have gotten the perfect. That's what happened to me. When I was your age, I got a 660 the first time. Mind you, I was really good at math. I was in calculus. But 660 for me was like whatever. And I did every practice on the planet like you. I'm telling you, this is literally the secret to everything. I went to the library and I did like 20 practice tests. I showed up to the exam. And because I had done so many practice exams, I finished every section. Back in the day, it was 3 sections. Every section with 10 minutes to spare, which allowed me to go back and catch 4 mistakes. I got a 782. And you know what I'm saying? We got 780.
Yeah.
But no, but that really is the key. And I'm glad you're saying it. And
No, yeah, you got to listen to Renan.
And Corey and the whole squad. Now we got Gabby, Marcella, Chloe,
All of
Vicky,
them.
Sebas, the whole squad, all been through what Mauricio has been through. So I think we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you again, Mauricio, for all the insight. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Slice. And stay tuned. We got some more tips about the SAT coming soon. Peace.